Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good
Yes, yes.
evening.
Good evening,
Yeah,
Very
sir.
good
Good
evening.
evening,
I
sir.
hope you can hear me, right? Okay, good.
Good evening,
yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, we took about 5 minutes today. So next time when we start, it will be 8:35 exactly. We will give only 5 minutes provision for latecomers, and we'll start at 8:35 any means. Okay, today we have given a little bit of time, just everyone to join in and okay, let us start. Okay. Let me share the screen first of all. Okay, then I'll give a bit of introduction about myself, and then probably I will ask some of you to introduce yourself as well. Not all of you, because it takes so much of time if I have to do that. Let me share the screen. Okay, here we go. I hope you have downloaded all the lecture materials plus the drawings, uh, because that will be needed for your exercises. There's a folder called drawings and BOQ through, I think it is in the LMS. I'm sure you have downloaded this. If not, please download them because that will be, of course, required, maybe not today, for the next lecture. That's for sure. Let me open this. Okay. Right. So this is the 60th batch of CostX conducted by Tibet campus, Sri Lanka. And I would like to welcome all of you for the CostX training course. Of course, we'll have about 30 hours of lectures, or let's say sessions, I should say. And I'm hoping to do it in a very interactive way. Guys, can you just double check your microphones? I want you to mute all of your microphones unless you have a question. Thank you. Right. So this is going to be very interactive. So what we used to do basically for previous batches also, we do certain part of CostX and I explain, I do a demonstration. And then I will allow you to do your part of the work as I explain, right? And whenever you find difficulties, I'm going to help you. So it's kind of a very interactive sessions. Um, and also we'll have 3-hour slots for each day. Obviously, I'm not sure whether we will go for 3 hours today itself, because your first part would be an introduction, not only an introduction, it is an introduction about the bigger picture, which is the BIM, Building Information Modeling. You don't get that part normally from anywhere. We have introduced this because you need to understand the role of CostX software in the BIM environment, Building Information Modeling. So I'll give you a brief introduction about building information modeling as well. So you have kind of a bigger picture, right, when you learn CostX. Right, so 3-hour sessions. There won't be any break in between because for the demonstration, unlike we do lectures, right, you are not going to be tired because it's very interactive and you don't feel like you are passing 3 hours, right? So that is the experience we have with previous batches. And once again, I would like to welcome all of you for the 60th batch of CostX training. And I'm hoping to give you my maximum. And also you can ask questions as we proceed. And then, yeah, so that's how it is. And please make sure that you download everything. And also, before I start, uh, I want you to take a pen or take a notebook with you, because as I explain, you might need to take your own notes. Okay, you might need to take your own notes. Flow charts will help sometimes, sometimes some bullet points, and at the same time, the recordings will be available, right, by Monday normally, because tomorrow is going to be a holiday in Sri Lanka anyway, Sunday. So the recording will be available in the LMS. You can always go to the LMS, and if you want to revise anything that we have discussed today or any other day, so date-wise there will be recording, and you will have access to those recordings. So you can practice. That is very important. Practicing is very important. Just because you come to the come to the let's say lecture doesn't mean that you will get everything, right? You need to do some practicing. You need to do the same exercise again and again, and then only you can master this software, right? So, uh, okay, that's all I have to say. Let me start by introducing myself, and also let me turn off the video for more clarity now, because our bandwidth is not that good. So I'll turn off the video and I'll introduce myself now. Right. My name is Tushara Indika. I'm a chartered quantity surveyor, a member of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, UK, MRICS. And my original degree is from a civil engineering degree from University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka, one of the leading universities in Sri Lanka. And I did my master's with the University of Reading in the UK. And also I'm an associated member of Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka. And also I completed my diploma in arbitration in 2000, I think 18, if I remember correct. So, and also I'm a member of Oman Society for Engineers, because I used to work in the Middle East, and I used to travel up and down. Currently, I'm working as the director engineering at Milkis Private Limited, uh, located in Sri Lanka. But my most of the experience come from the Middle East, because I used to work in Oman almost 13 years. I still travel up and down, so I have a good touch with the Middle East market, as well as we are doing local projects as well. So I have a combination of experience, both overseas and local, and I'm a senior lecturer in some of the universities, including Tibet campus. So over 25 years experience, actually, not 24. And my experience goes to quantity surveying, project management, and civil engineering, right? I've been working with, uh, okay, I have worked in a prestigious project, a landmark project in Muscat International and Salalah airports. The brand new airport, I was part of that. Okay, those who know, or those who have gone through Oman will know that airport, and those who are in Oman will know the airport, and I've been part of that project. So that is my background. Um, uh, let's hear from you guys also. I'll give you some volunteers to introduce yourself, so that I know a composition of the audience a little bit. Okay, right. So, yeah, would you give a bit of introduction about yourself, or should I call names? We have about 33 participants here. And I need to know from where you are joining. I know the Middle East students will be there, definitely. Oman. Normally we have students from Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, and Saudi. I'm sure this is the case today as well. And I know what's going on that side. So I hope you will be uh, taking all the safety precautions. Don't go into any public places. Just be stay at your accommodation, right? And we all pray for you guys for your safety. Yeah, so can I start with, let's say, Milena? Milena, would you give bit of introduction about yourself?
Hi, good evening. I'm in Chaturanga. I'm working in Oman as a quantity surveyor, Oman Support JLC.
Okay, Osco.
Moscow, yes.
Okay, 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 Milena. Nice
Okay,
to meet you online. Okay,
okay, okay.
and yeah, so good. Mm, right, you know about Milkris then.
Yes, I know, I know.
Okay, right. So let's move to another one. Aruna,
Hi, good evening.
very good
Aruna,
evening, Arun.
I am Aruna Veerasinghe from Coast Consulting Service in Sri Lanka, and I was in Oman, Majan Engineering Consultant in
Okay,
2013.
all right, Aruna.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
introduction.
Thank you, Mr.
We have Mike, if I pronounce it correctly, Mike Jan.
Hi everyone. Hi Mike.
Hi, Mike.
I'm Hi sir. I'm currently based here in Dubai, UAE,
All
and
right.
working as senior estimator in
Okay.
pre
Okay.
modular construction company.
All right. Okay. Good to have you on board, Mike. So
Thank you, sir.
we look forward to share your experience as well as we proceed. Right. How about
Uh,
Kajan?
Yeah, I am Kajan. I am working in the Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Yes, I want to. I am working as a draftman now. I want to
Okay.
join the
You want
QS
to
course.
become a
Yeah.
quantity serving. Oh, right.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I
Okay. That's
already
a good.
finished course. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, good. That's a good step forward because I know I have a lot of friends who did draftman as their basic course and then turn into good QSs because they have a very good basis to become a good QS at the end of the day.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move to the next page and take pick some of let's say Raghu. Raghu, are you there? Nikhil, would you introduce yourself if you
Hi,
are
good
okay with
evening.
that?
Good evening,
Very
all.
good evening, Nikhil. Yeah.
Myself, Nikhil C. Ravindran. I am from India. I am working in Dubai. Around of 13-year experience in UAE as
Okay.
a quantity surveyor. So,
Right. Good. So you are from consultancy services or
no,
consultants
no, no,
practice or contractors?
main contractor side.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Good to have you on board.
Thank
We
you.
have Anuradha.
Hello, I'm Anurad Medagajuri here from Oman.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Anuradha.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Very much.
I'm working at Military Technical College in Oman as a senior instructor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So um, different background. That's good.
Yes, academia.
That's good. Yeah.
Before I was in
Academia.
Al Tasnim Enterprises, but recently
Ah.
I joined to from industry to academia. Recently I switched my profession.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
Anuradha.
Okay.
Okay. Good to have you
Nice to
on
meet you.
board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Same. Same. Right. So we'll go with another couple of students. Let's say Gihan Karuna Singh.
Hi, I'm Gyan Karuna Singh. I'm
Hi
working
again.
at CWIT, Colombo West International Terminal, as a quantity surveyor.
Okay. So you are working in Colombo.
Yeah, Colombo West International Terminal, Colombo Harbor.
Okay. West in. Okay. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Good. So with access or
No, client. Colombo West
ah,
International Terminal.
okay, from the client side. All right,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Good to have on board again. Right. So
Yeah,
we have
please.
let's take one or two. Let's say Saira.
Good evening, everyone.
Very good.
I'm Zaira Alaon, and right now I'm working here in Abu Dhabi, in a landscaping company as a cost control engineer.
Okay. I think only one lady we have on the board. Okay. Good to have you on board. So we'll I mean, looking forward to interact with you guys as we proceed. We'll take one last one, probably Tanvir. Right. We'll give it to somebody else then. Daran.
Good evening to you all.
Very good evening, Daran.
My name is Purandaran Sivalingam. Actually, currently, I'm looking for a job in Middle East. So that
Oh,
reason,
okay.
studying this CostX.
Okay.
After HND, earlier I worked around 5 years in Gulf market in Qatar,
Mm-hmm.
Fino International,
Mm-hmm.
in
Okay.
Ministry of Interior project. Later on, I moved to Sri Lanka. Now expecting to move again.
Ah, okay. Okay. Right. So this is
Thank
a
you.
good, okay, since we have a WhatsApp group always, so I'm sure your colleagues will help you to find a job also, right, as we proceed.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
So good luck with that as well. And I'm sure this will add feather in the cap as well. And this will be obviously give you an added advantage when you face interviews.
Yeah,
Right, so
exactly.
let us start then. Yeah, let's start then. And then others I will get to know as we proceed, of course. Right, let me share the screen again. And I hope you have downloaded this presentation slide and I'll move on. Right, so what I will do, I'll give you a quick introduction about what Tibet campus is doing and the role of CostX, especially the third bullet point I'm really serious on. Because before we really move into the CostX software itself, I would like you to get an idea about the role of CostX in the BIM environment. So for that, we need to understand a little bit of BIM building information modeling. I'm hoping everyone is very excited to hear about BIM. And then, of course, we will learn all these CostX features as we proceed and the benefits, right? So let me start with a slight introduction. Tibet campus is offering not you as construct training, but they're offering HNDs for quantitative surveying and civil engineering. Uh, and of course, other than that, their main uh, courses would be some industry-oriented programs they are conducting. One is, of course, CostX. We started long ago. Now we have reached about 60th batch. I don't know how many of them, like I think 800, 900 people probably we have taught, and they are from the industry, not just as students. So that made a big difference. And we do a lot of tailor-made courses for industry people like claims. There's a variation course course ongoing. On the other side, a lectured by one of the pioneers in the industry. And then we have physical, some courses also targeted at claims. Obviously, that is physical. Those who are in Sri Lanka can probably join maybe for the next batch, right? So we do a lot of short courses, and as far as HND is concerned, it is awarded by Pearson. We all know Pearson certificate is globally recognized, right? So I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is nothing to do with you guys, but I just wanted to give you a background of Tibet campus. And we are certified by TVR, we call it TVEC in Sri Lanka, Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission and Foreign Ministry. So our HNDs are recognized by the government and of course awarded by Pearson. So there's no issue with that qualification. Right. So if I give you some example on short courses, we do tender management, pre-contract management. Actually, this should be post-contract management, right? BIM for QS, contract administration, MEP for QS, and measurement and estimation. And on the software side, we do Revit, in addition to CostX, and then Civil 3D, BIM 360, MS Project, Primavera, and sometimes if there's a demand, we do AutoCAD as well, right? And this will not the full list, by the way. If you log into Tibet Facebook page, you will get to know a lot of details, and you can subscribe to their website, Facebook page, and then you will get notifications for new courses. Okay, let me change this to post. You can also change your one. Anyway, it is about Tibet. And then quickly, why measurements and estimations are important for QSs? We all know that is the backbone of quantity surveying subject, right? And also in your RICS interviews, there will be certain questions on measurement side, and they are also very keen nowadays on digital measurements like CostX. Okay, so it is important for budgeting and forecasting and estimating and cost planning, and of course during the valuation of the, let's say, preparation of the payment applications and ordering materials and also progress monitoring. So measurement and estimations are very important in these areas. I mean, those you are in the industry, you will know how important it is to get accurate measurements, especially in the tendering and as well as in the post-contract measurements, right? When you prepare your payment applications. And in the pre-contract, of course, it's very important that nowadays most of the companies will expect you to know some of the software. Not necessarily BIM related software. Now, for example, you must have heard about Bluebeam. Bluebeam is a simple software, a measurement software that can be used with 2D drawings, right? PDF and AutoCAD measurement, you can use Bluebeam. Then you have something called Cubicost, which is a BIM software. So you can measure 3D models, or you can abstract quantities from the 3D model. And then CostX. CostX has become now kind of a very leading software now in this part of the world, at least. And most of the QSs are learning CostX because it has a lot of features and it is capable of measuring from 2D drawings as well as abstracting quantities from 3D models. So it has 2D and 3D capability. I will come to that one in a minute. And there are a lot of other softwares that can be used to abstract quantities from 3D model. Even Revit has a measurement software, measurement module, right? And then you have something called Navisworks. You can use Navisworks also for the measurements, but what is popular in this part of the world amongst QSs is CostX. Right, so these are the licensing options, just for your general knowledge, and you get more information if you log into your RIB network, website, because CostX now belongs to RIB, a company called RIB. It's a German-based company. So if you just Google it, and then you will get into their website, and then you will get a lot of licensing options in there, and the products and all the information will be there. But just to give you kind of an overview, they have three types of licenses. One is called standalone license. That is the software that you can install on your PC or on your laptop. That is it. Once it is installed, you cannot install in another laptop or PC. That's why it is called standalone licenses. Right? So you buy a software. I'll give you the product list, product options, but let's take one product of CostX, and let's say you install in one of the PCs. That is it, right? Or one of the laptops, and you can just use it in that particular laptop. Okay. And then you have something called a portable license. This is little exciting. The reason is it comes with a USB key, right? You have to plug the USB key to your laptop, and then you can install it. You can install on your laptop, and also you can install it maybe in your office laptop, right? So what you need to have is, I mean, you can install it, let's put this way, you can install it in multiple PCs, but you can work at one time with one with the USB key. So in other words, you install in multiple devices, let's say office computer and your personal laptop, blah, blah, blah. But you have to have your USB key with you or plug into your whatever the device if you have to work with CostX. So multi is able to install at multiple devices, but actually you need to have the USB key to operate CostX. So that's why it is called, it's like a portable version of CostX. So you can carry USB key with you. When you go to office, you take the USB key with you and then plug in, and then you can work with CostX. When you come home, right, you bring your USB key with you and plug in, and then you can work with your laptop, home laptop or personal laptop with CostX. So that's a kind of a portable version of CostX. And then you have the network licenses where this is more or like in a project environment where you have a network, right? And then when I say network, it is a local area network. We call it LAN, local area network. And you can install software licenses, let's say 5 users on the server. So you will access the server. You don't have to install your own computer because you will access the server license, and you can work. I mean, maybe 10 users can work at the same time, depending on the number of licenses that you are going to buy. And this is more popular, and this will be installed in your server. But if you don't have a server, you have to think about other two, right? I'm sure you are very familiar with the server environment, whether it is in your organization or whether it is in your project environment, that the network license would be the ideal one, right? And pricing and all, you need to go into RIB net website. You will get all the details, or you have to contact one of their sales representatives, and they will get back to you very quickly through the website. And in their website, there's an interactive. You can chat with them. You just place a small inquiry, and they will get back to you in no time with pricing information. Right. So quickly, these are the products available at the moment, and this will change time to time because they need to understand the market, right? So this is some time ago, CostX representatives visited Tibet campus like 2 months ago. No, I think in December. Sorry, it was in December, and we had a meeting with them, and we are still in touch with them actually, right? So whenever you need maybe any references So we can give you some real sales managers contacts if you need them. Right. So these are the products available. Earlier we were talking about the licenses, now products. So if you want, like, it depends on how you want how to operate in your organization. Let's say, for example, let's say you have senior quantity surveyors, you have junior quantity surveyors, and we have like commercial managers in your organization, right? And depending on the composition of your organization, let's say cost consultancy company, and you might need sometime only CostX licenses that can be only applicable for the taking off. That's all. You can see here, second row, only the taking off. You have the taking off, right? And there's something called auto revisioning. I'll get back to that on auto revisioning when we do these things. So you can see, depending on what you want, if you need CostX complete, and you have all these features. If you take the complete CostX package, you have 2D drawing you can measure. 3D takeoff, we don't call it as takeoff though. We call it quantity harvesting from the 3D models. So that facility is there. And there's a auto revisioning facility. That means you can update the quantities when you have revision drawings. Right, so we'll be learning about this. And then estimation spreadsheets. Okay, that means you can prepare the BOQ part there automatically. And then various reports are available. And you have something called subcontractor comparison, which is not in the educational version. Right, so here I have not put the educational version. If you have to buy CostX complete product, you have all the features, and it will be costing you about $1,700 approximately. It might change. And I've got a quotation like 2 months back, 3 months back, and we have got a quotation for about 1,700 USD for a complete package, if I remember correct. Anyway, go and check the prices. And then if you don't need certain features, there are multiple options. If you need only auto revisioning, the third one I'm talking about, auto revisioning, 3D takeoff and 2D takeoff, you can't prepare the BOQ there. What you do is you do all the taking off and everything, and then you can use another license to prepare the BOQ. Right? So because that can be done by a senior person. The taking off can be done by a junior person. So you don't need CostX full license for the junior person. So that's why they have introduced this kind of a product at a lower price. I can't remember the price of this. And then you have something called CostX Core. You don't have the 3D facility here, 3D measurement facility or harvesting facility. And you don't have auto revisioning facility there, but all the other facilities are there. So that product also available with them. Right. So you can buy like 2 of them and then maybe 3 of them and another 3 of them, depending on the composition of your organization. Right? You don't have to buy all CostX complete product for all the guys, because some of you might not be using some of the features here. So unnecessary uh, waste of money in that case, because you are underutilizing some of the packages or licenses. So that's why they have given these choices for you to for you to mix and match and then purchase. Right. So then you have educational version that can be also purchased, and of course you have got it through Tibet campus, right? And then you have CostX Cloud, CostX Weaver available, and system requirements you need to check. It will be compatible with Windows 8.1 or Windows 10 and Windows 11. So when you purchase, when you go to their website, you can identify the configuration, right? So most of the new laptop or desktop is able to take the CostX software without any hassle, right? You don't need a very high end of performance in your laptop to run CostX. Okay, right. Why it is important? Because more than 125, sorry, more than 80 countries use CostX, especially in the Asian countries and the Middle East, right? Middle East included, I should say, uh, and uh, and New Zealand, Australia, right? So, and most of the leading institutes, even in our University of Moratuwa, right? Those who are doing the quantity surveying will learn CostX as undergraduates. Earlier, it was developed by a company called Exactel in 2003, and then it was purchased by RIB in 2022. Okay, so that's why they call it at the moment. Earlier, it was Exactel CostX. Now, RIB I2 CostX. There's a brand name. So I don't know the background of I2 CostX, but what we call it as a CostX, right? Right. Right. So that's what I said. CostX is being taught in universities in most of the places, including Oman. We have given a presentation to technical colleges in some of the technical colleges in Oman, and they are very keen to do kind of costs, or will be hosting few CPDs there very soon. Right. So let us quickly have a look at that about building information modeling, and then I will explain you the role of role of CostX in the BIM environment. Remember, before I speak about or before I explain about building information modeling, you need to understand what happens in the construction industry. Bit of history, I should say. In the UK in 1990s, right? UK government appointed certain committees famously called Egan Report and Latham Report. Latham Report is the first one. Sir Latham and his team to investigate about various issues faced by the construction industry. Right? He came up with a nice report called Latham Report. If you have time, just Google it, you will find it. You can download it even. Latham Report in the 1990s. It was, if I remember correct, it was 1994, I think. And then followed up with another report called Egan's Report. Right? He was the head of the committee, and he also has provided some recommendation to the government, UK government, to address some of the issues faced by the industry that time. Right? So that was okay, because of those recommendations, so industry had to react differently. So industry has to embrace the technology. Normally, the construction industry is very slow to adopt technology compared to other industries like car manufacturing, aircraft, what do you call airlines, let's say aircraft manufacturing industry and so on. They are very slow to adopt the technology. But with these two reports, they encourage the construction industry to use the technology. So that is one side. And then on the IT side, there had been rapid development. And because of the technology, they were able to, I should say, not draw, generate 3D models through the computers. Right? They don't draw 3D models. They can generate the 3D model from the software. So IT field also has advanced in their programming and all. And also, there's a buzzword called sustainability. Everyone knows about sustainability. And we all know that we are moving towards the paperless construction industry, basically, and digital modeling and so on, so that you can reduce the wastage. So there has been a prominent attention to the sustainability aspects as well. So putting everything together, industry had to react to change its traditional way of doing projects. So they have changed the approach, and that is why they have come up with this concept, which is called the building information modeling. Right. In a traditional construction approach, we all know you have an employer or the client. Sometimes you have the project manager, and you have the consultant engineer. You have under him you have sub-consultants, or may not be. Or under the contractor you have subcontractors, so many, or multiple subcontractors and multiple suppliers, and then you have sometimes nominated subcontractors, named subcontractors, and so on. So this is very complex, and we all know that all of them are not working towards a common goal, because the contractor is trying to make his profit maximum, right? Subcontractors also the same. A consultant engineer will try and uh, try and put the best design forward, and that may not be suited well with the employer. So there will be a lot of issues in terms of final objectives of the project. And project manager will look after the client's interest or the employee's interest. So there are kind of silos or fragmented nature, we call it. This is if you take traditional construction approach or traditional procurement route, I should say. This is the arrangement. You have the employer, and you appoint a contractor to carry out the carry out the construction. And before that, you appoint a consultant to do the design. So design and constructions are divided basically. So that is the prime nature of traditional procurement route. Okay, so you can understand now the fragmented nature of the industry. So you need to have some collaborative way of working if you want to reduce disputes and claims and so on. So that is how the BIM has emerged as a result or as a solution to the issues. So let's quickly catch up the common issues in the industry. We discuss about fragmented natures. You have too many parties and trying to achieve their own objective rather than the project objective, right? So we call it fragmented nature. So fragmented nature, of course, will instigate blame culture, right? Will try to blame each other when things are going wrong. And I'm sure you have experience, and there'll be a lot of time overrun in projects, cost overrun, and quality issues. So time, cost, quality issues will be there in most of the cases because we have a fragmented nature of the industry, right? And also blame culture. And then as a result, you have adversarial relationships, means you have disputes, right? Tell me if you have worked in any project without disputes or without any claims, very rare, isn't it? Very rare. So we always have adversarial relationships. So we are not basically, we don't put a collective or collaborative approach in most of the cases, right? Always people are pulling to their sides always. And that is because of the fragmented nature and trying to make sure they achieve their own interest rather than the project interest. And sometimes clients also do not know what they want, and most importantly, limited use of technology in the construction industry. That is one of the biggest issue in the construction industry. and then constructability issues, because sometimes design, people do the design, but actually sometimes when you execute at site, it is not practical sometimes, right? So constructability issues are there. So these are the common issues faced in the construction industry in the 90s, at least in the UK. Now you must be thinking, okay, some of these issues are still there. Yeah, that's the issue. Even if you take the construction industry in Sri Lanka, those who are practicing in Sri Lanka will know all the issues are there still. Now we are in 2026. I'm talking about 1990s in the UK. Now they have moved forward from these things, but still, if you take Middle East, right, in Oman, in UAE, if you take Qatar, I can say 90% of the issues they have identified in 1990s in the UK still there in 2026. Now you can see we are too far behind as far as we are comparing with the UK construction industry. Correct? Because we have so these issues, but they have already identified those issues earlier and they have given the solution to them. Right. So let us understand now what they have done. Right. So I just take one by one now. I'm still okay. We discuss about three aspects. One is development of the IT field, and then change in approach because of the Egan's report and the Latham report. Right. So they recommended certain things to the government, and then government implemented. One is, of course, to work as a collaborative team, right? To work as a collaborative team, and they have given also to reduce disputes. So they have introduced some alternative dispute resolution in their reports. So that's why they changed the approach in the UK. Right. So in the software phase, we started, or the software engineers started the programming with machine language like 0101, and then they developed that machine language to something called assembly language. I'm not going to explain all of them, right? These are IT stuff. And then they moved to structured programming called, like you must have heard about C software, right? Database C. And then they have moved to something called object-oriented programming, right? If you want to know about object-oriented programming, you go to this link here down, YouTube, and there's a nice explanation. It's about 20 minutes YouTube you can watch, and it explains very well about object-oriented programming. Anyway, we as quantity surveyors don't have to know much about how to do object-oriented programming, but what I wanted to show you is the development of the software plant. And thanks to this technology, OOP, object-oriented programming, now they can generate 3D models in the computer. That's why they have now a software like Revit that is capable of generating 3D views of buildings or any facility, right? Thanks to a technology called object-oriented programming, right? Now you must have heard about Java, C++, and C Sharp, Python, JavaScript. All these programs are object-oriented programs. I know you are very familiar with some of the names already, Python, Java, script, C Sharp, C++, I'm sure you are familiar because the technology behind those software is object-oriented program. Right. So we'll move on. And there's another thing called interoperability. I will explain this one in more detail later. But for now, it is the ability of computer systems or software to exchange and make use of information. Okay, in other words, we are going to learn this anyway. thanks to a feature called interoperability. I will give you one example. Now, for example, let's say we have a 3D model developed by a software called Revit. Okay, so we have a Revit 3D model, and we have another software called CostX. So we can abstract the information from the Revit 3D model and generate whatever the reports in CostX. So in other words, you can use 3D Revit model in CostX. This feature is called interoperability. Right. In other words, you can open AutoCAD in CostX. That means you can exchange information from AutoCAD, or you can exchange between AutoCAD and CostX. And you can again use PDF drawings with CostX. So this feature is called interoperability. Okay, so everyone is working now on a platform called open source platform called IFC. IFC format. IFC is industry foundation class. That means most of the software now, especially this BIM software, are produced in a common platform called IFC platform, and they are compatible. In other words, but you can work with any other software. So that is because of the interoperability. Right. Then there's another term that you need to know, something called parametric objects. Now, earlier, traditionally, what you do is, let me show you. Right. Yeah. Traditionally, if you want to draw, let's say, house or maybe staircase in AutoCAD, I'm talking about CAD, AutoCAD, right? You need to draw all the lines, correct? You need to draw all the lines, and then you need to draw the plan and the elevation and the section separately. If you want to change the plan, you need to go and change the elevation and the section as well, because there's no automatic link. The user will draw it, but with parametric objects, now this is, you can see, this is ArchiCAD 6.5. You can hear, right? It's a 3D modeling software. In 3D models, you don't draw it. Of course, you have in AutoCAD also, you can say if you want to draw a line, you can click on the line and say, you give the length of the line, right? But if you take as a whole, if you want to change the plan, let's say you want to move the door from here to here somewhere, you have to change the elevation and the section also manually. It does not get changed automatically, correct? But in this, right, you have something called parametric objects. What you, let's say if you want to draw a beam, for example, rectangular beam, you click on rectangular beam and you will see there will be a pop-up, and you have to say what is the length of that beam, what is the depth of that beam, and what is the height. So you need to assign these parameters, and then you click, and it will, or the computer, the software will generate the model, the object. You are not going to draw anything. That is why it is called intelligent models. So all the 3D models are intelligent because when you now change the plan, for example, of a 3D model, automatically the elevation and the section can be changed. You don't have to draw it. So that is why we call them as intelligent model, and earlier models, or in other words, AutoCAD model. Sorry, I have small, yeah. AutoCAD model, we call it as unintelligent models. Right, so we have shifted our focus on focus from unintelligent model to the intelligent models now. Right, so traditional CAD systems like 2D AutoCADs are coming under unintelligent model because the user has to do all these things. User has to do all these things. But intelligent model uses parametric objects. Sorry. Parametric objects like this. Yeah. Parametric objects like this. And you assign the properties of the parametric objects, and the system or the computer software will generate the object for you. And that is how you generate the 3D model of a building or any, or maybe pipe network or any asset. If you take, it's not only about building here. Any of the assets, maybe a bridge, maybe pipe network, or maybe anything else, right? You can generate the 3D model using this intelligent, or you can say parametric objects. Why we call it as parametric objects? Because we need to assign the length, or we need to assign the dimensions, and the system will generate it for you. You don't have to draw it. And that is why we call it as intelligent model. So we'll move on. Right. So people came up with this idea now. People came up with a 3D model now, right? Moving away from 2D traditional CAD drawings. People were thinking about creating a 3D model, and everyone is working now on the 3D model. Like for example, architect is working on the architectural aspect of the 3D model, and the structural engineer can take the architectural model and add his part of the structure into the model. An MEP guy will come in and he will add his details to the 3D model. So ultimately, you will get a proper model that has got everything in it. Right. So nowadays we use 3D models instead of 2D drawings to do our constructions. So that is why we call it as that is what we call as a building information model. Right. So I saw a small message. Right. Anyway, uh, if you give a small definition for building information modeling, remember this building is not a building. When I say BIM, it is building information modeling. It is not the noun building. Okay, it is a constructing information modeling. In other words, you are building the information on the model basically. It says digital representation of physical and functional characteristics of a facility. So they don't use the word building because there will be a confusion. It can be applicable for any facility, bridge, pipe network, or any other, let's say, runway or road work, whatever. But you can digitally represent of a physical and functional characteristics of a facility like bridge or any other construction project, creating a shared knowledge, resources for information about it, and forming a reliable basis for decision making during its life cycle from earliest conception to the demolition. What you can do, okay, what BIM is basically, it is to do with the 3D model, but not only that, we have to think about the entire life cycle of a building. When you say life cycle of a building, right, there's a process that has to happen in a project, right? Starting with the concept design, and then moving on to preliminary design, tender design, and then do the construction, right? And then you have a period of maintenance and refurbishment, and then finally it will come to the end of life, and then you demolish the building maybe after 75 years or maybe 100 years, you demolish the building. So that is the life cycle of a building, and you can use this building information modeling idea during the life cycle of a project, not only for the construction or not only for the um, design stage. Right, so that is about BIM. What happened here is, just to give you the communication as perspective here, Traditionally, we have this kind of messy communication. We have so many people working with so many disciplines. Now, for example, architect, he has to talk to a structural engineer, right? He has to send his drawings to the structural engineer. Then he will put his structural elements. He will incorporate his structural design to architectural, and then he will share it with the MEP engineers. You can see there will be a lot of emails between the disciplines, and the communication will be very messy. And also in the process, you will miss some of the communication, and we may not be in the same page, especially the quantity survey. At the time of preparing the BOQ by the quantity survey, let's say consultant QS, these architects have even updated their architectural design, but he has already started the preparation of the BOQ. You can see, since the quantity survey needs about, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks to prepare the BOQ, and by that time, architect and structural engineers have updated the design, the quantity survey's BOQ may not reflect the latest drawing, and that will lead to a lot of variations, that will lead to time overrun and so on. It's very rare that you can match the final tender drawings with the final BOQ, because always QS is behind the schedule, and the architects are always running the race, right? But at the front, the quantity surveys are at the back end in the process. So it's very rare to coordinate with each other and get a proper 100% accurate BOQ because of the timing. But now, this is what we have been doing traditionally, right? In the 1990s in the UK, this is the model. You must be telling still it is the model with us. Yeah, correct. Right? We are still in this model. Now, with the introduction of this 3D model or building information modeling concept in especially in the UK, right? Uh, uh, what happens here is we have a central model that can be accessible to all the project members, right? So architects, let's say architect will develop the 3D model, and also the structural engineer will develop his structural model, and the HVAC engineer will develop his air conditioning model, and then finally make a single model called federated model. And you can use, as a quantity survey, you can use this 3D model now, the complete 3D model, to quantify the quantities. You can abstract all the information from, let's say if you have to do a cost plan, then you can do a cost plan at the very beginning. Or if you have to do a cost estimate, you can do an estimate. If you have to do a proper BOQ at the very end, then you can extract all this information from the 3D model in no time, very quickly, and then you can prepare a BOQ. Let's say CostX can do the job. Now you can see people will have to work in a collaborative environment, right? You are going away from this fragmented nature of the environment to a more collaborative, more supportive environment. So that is the beauty of introduction about building information modeling into a project, construction project. Now we are working very collaboratively because we have to work together now with the introduction of the 3D model. Of course, 3D model will be in the server, so everyone will be working on that, and even for the quantity survey, there won't be any time gap. So he'll be working with the real, most up-to-date detail, and there won't be any gaps between his BOQ and the 3D model, unlike in this case. So that is why we say we have very good communication. and also you have a shared knowledge in this setup with the introduction of the 3D model, or we call it building information modeling. Of course, when you now replace 2D drawings with a 3D model, in the contract also certain things you have to change. For example, there's no as-built drawing now, correct? There's no as-built drawing. Now you have a model instead. So you need to do bit of adjustment to your contract document also, or tender document. And also to manage this process, you will have sometimes a new person coming into the project called BIM manager. Earlier, you don't need a BIM manager. There's no process like this. Okay. Right. So you can understand how we are moving from this left to right now. Whereas we are still in this situation, but in the UK they have moved from this model to this model. Now they are going ahead with this. I mean, they are going into another level of BIM now, right? Not only UK, I mean Australia, US, most of the European countries have used this technology, building information modeling. The Middle East countries are moving towards BIM now. I know in Oman, still it is in the early stage of the process. As far as Sri Lanka, we will have few years to come into this building information modeling. Right, so we are living in this kind of we are living in between, I should say, as far as Middle East is concerned. So that's why you learn this CostX, and you will be ready, right, when you have 3D models, when you have BIM implemented in your region. So since you know CostX very well, and you will be ready to challenge the face the challenge, right? That's why we learn this. And it's a BIM software. Now you can see it has its own role to play in the BIM environment. So as quantity surveyors in next, let's say next 5 years or so, they will not have manual takeoff after maybe 5 years, right? Because there won't be any 2D drawings in the first place, and they will be working with the 3D model in most of the cases. And then you as quantity surveyors should know how to operate and how to extract information from 3D model and do your day-to-day work. Prepare cost plan, prepare estimates, prepare BOQs as a consultant, and then even do your post-contract measurements. And then even the facility management functions using the 3D model. You can see here facility manager and the owner here. So you can do everything from the 3D model, including the maintenance of the building. That's why this facility manager is there. And also when I explain BIM, and we discuss about entire life cycle of a building, not only the construction phase, not only the planning or design phase, but we are talking about entire life cycle of a building, right? The critical part of the process is the 3D. Right? If you have the 3D, you can use it for any other matter. Simple as that. Right. So we discussed about what is BIM. Basically, it's a digital representation of physical and functional characteristics of a facility. Right. And now we know why we are talking about life cycle, and then talking about collaborative working environment. Right. And you need to know a little bit about okay, some terminologies called BIM dimensions. You have something called BIM dimensions. It is something, let's say you have a project that your employer has decided to execute the project on BIM. So obviously you need to buy certain software now, because you are going to be away from your AutoCAD drawings or 2D drawing, and instead he's going to implement 3D modeling, right? So you need to buy certain software, of course. For 3D, of course, you need to buy something like Revit, right, in your project. You need to get certain Revit licenses, of course. And then there's no point of having only Revit licenses, because we know we have to do the planning or the programming part using MS Project, for example. So MS Project does not support, let's say, 3D model. And then latest there are now BIM software that can be used with the 3D model, or that can use the 3D model to do the time planning. Whenever you have that kind of software in a project environment, we have something called Shrink of 4D. Shrink of 4D is a software that can be used to do the programming with the use of the 3D. So when you have Revit plus Shrink of 4D in a project environment, and of course with the project protocol to implement this BIM concept, and then we say we are running on 4D. Actually speaking, there's no fourth dimension, because we have only 3 dimensions, right? Length, width, and height. So in BIM, we call as the 4th dimension when we have another software to do the time planning or programming, like we do in MS Project or Primavera now. It's not a 4D, it's not a 3D software. It is just a time management software, that's all. But now, with the introduction of the 3D, there are software now that can work with the 3D model, Revit model, to generate your time program and produce your cash flows and so on. But when you have those software, then we say we are running on a 4D BIM platform in the project. Now let's say we have decided to work on CostX also, because CostX is it has a 3D capability, and you buy certain licenses, number of licenses for the project, and you do your cost management functions using CostX. Then we say we are running on a 5D BIM model, because you have 3D Revit model and you have Strinko 4D or something like some software to handle the programming part, and on top of that you have a software to handle the cost management. So when you have that kind of a construction projects, then we say we are running on 5D. If you have any question, just let me know. No questions yet. Right. So, and if you go to the market now, you can see there are so many BIM software, right? And that can do even the facility management or the operation or the maintenance part of the building. You can order the material. You can configure your let's say maintenance, right? You can have scheduled maintenance. There will be pop-ups, and then you can order the material through your HRM system, right? So you can use the 3D model even to operate the building. And there are softwares in the industry now supporting the 6D. 6D is the maintenance and operational facility, right? There's something called FM, that is facility management. We'll get to know in the next slide, I think. FM 360 or something, a new software that is capable of doing the operation and maintenance function of a building using the 3D model. If we have that software also in the project, then we say we are running on 6D BIM model. The project is run on 6D model. And these are called dimensions. So these are called BIM dimensions, okay? Not any other dimensions, right? We have only 3D in normal scientific dimension, we have 3D. The fourth dimension, as per the Einstein, we call it as a time. Anyway, that is physics, right? In BIM, we call fourth dimension as another piece of software that can do the time program. 5D as another piece of software that can do the cost management part. If we have a piece of software that can do the facility management part, then we say we are running, our project is run on 6D BIM model. Likewise, you can go up to the nth dimension, technically, theoretically. Normally, seventh dimension is called sustainability. If you have a software that can handle the sustainability ratings like LEED certificate and all, so we say we are running on 7D BIM. But remember, when your employee decides that you are running on, that your project will be run on 7D BIM, you need to remember you have to invest a lot of money on the software, right? You have to buy so many software on the on so many software on Revit, and then Shrinko 4D, then CostX, then FM360, and so on. So you need a lot of money towards purchasing the licenses on this BIM software. So you have to strike the balance. But if you have to do in BIM, then you have to think about yourself. Okay, are we going on to do 5D or 6D or 7D? Knowing that you have to spend a lot of money in buying different software to do different things. Okay. Okay, there's a question, I answer that. And then likewise, you can go if you want to have another piece of software that can handle the safety aspects in a construction project. You can buy that software as well. And then we can say we are running on 8D BIM model in the construction. I mean, my project is run on 8D BIM model. But as I said, you need a lot of money to buy different software, right? So that will be added to the project. But that can save a lot of time because you are developing the 3D model, unlike you are developing 2D models. And there are a lot of advantages of implementing BIM in construction projects. We all know now. Right, I take one of the questions, I think. Question was, right, what about the BIM dimension required at the earliest stage of the project or small scale project? Okay, to answer that question, Sharif, it's a good question because we need to know as a project team. I'll come to that one. I think you exactly brought me to the right slide here. Yeah, here. Now this is the project life cycle of a project. Okay, start with something called programming according to RIBA plan of work, and it goes to the concept design like any other design stages, and then tender design analysis, the tendering documentation. Then you start the
Can you
post
share the
contract.
screen, sir?
Forgot. Sorry. Right. So you start your project at the programming stage. You see RIBA plan of work. If you have seen RIBA plan of work, where design stages are defined properly for the architects, and that has uh, a stage called programming. That is where you as a project team, client will have to decide with the consultation of the project manager perhaps, whether we are going to go with BIM and what level, whether it is, are we going to go BIM 5D model in our construction project throughout, or BIM maybe 4D model, depending on money you have. or depending on the willingness to invest money on the software, BIM software. Some client might decide, no, I'm going up to the 7D because he's very keen on even to do the building, sorry, the operation and maintenance through the 3D model, right? So that depends, and you have to take an early decision. You have to take that decision very early stage of the project, whether your project is going to be whether your project is going to be implemented through the BIM process, because you need to appoint correct people at the correct time, and also you have to tell your consultant, even when you appoint your consultant, right? You have to tell your consultant, look, we are going to do, or we are going to implement BIM in my project. So your fee proposal for the consultancy services also should include implementing BIM. And there he might have to hire a BIM manager to manage the entire process, right? So to answer your question, yes, BIM has to be in ideal situation is if you are taking a decision to implement BIM in your project, that has to be at the very beginning. But there are case studies that BIM has been implemented little later and there were successful stories also. Yes, can be done. I'm not saying you can't do that, but earlier the better, because consultant is aware of the situation and everyone knows that our project is going to be done or going to be implemented on BIM, right? And the second part of the question is whether this is only applicable for small project or bigger project. I would say to to manage a small project, you don't need this kind of a facility. I mean technology, right? It is manageable. Now, if you take a school building, very typical or warehouse type of building, right? Just because you have building information modeling, you don't have to, I think, implement BIM because it is an additional cost to the client. And it is manageable even with 2D drawings because they are not complicated. But on the other hand, if you have a very complex building and delivery is very critical, and you have, let's say, borrowing from banks and you need to deliver on time, and cost and quality, that is where you need to implement BIM, right? Because that will be beneficial even if you have spent little more money on the software front, but you are going to get a lot of benefits out of this software. You can make it quicker. Even quantity surveys can produce BOQs in no time, and you can save time, and also you can implement the quality because any miscoordination between the disciplines will not be there, right? You can do a lot of things, and then um, there won't be any variations. So you can minimize the variation, I should say, during the post-contract stage because the client has seen the 3D and he has seen the sizes of his rooms and so on. So it is very unlikely that he's going to change anything during the post-contract stage. So in that case, you can minimize the variations. So yes, so I would not recommend BIM process for a very small, very standard type of project, but I would recommend this process for maybe complex and also very critical projects. I think I answered your question, right? We'll move on. Just a second. Right. So you understand the process of BIM now, because at different stages of the construction project, or we can call it as life cycle of a project, we use different software, right? We use different software to do different things in this process, and all these software are compatible with each other, and these software are doing different things. For example, quantity survey will be doing the cost management part, like say estimation, quantification, right? Produce cost planning and so on. So that is his job. And for that, you have a piece of software called CostX. That's what you are going to learn. But in this, you have the 2D capability also. So 2D is not part of the BIM, because BIM start with the 3D model, but CostX offers even measurements from 2D drawings. So in our course, we will be first focusing on the 2D measurements, and towards the end of the uh, lectures, we'll have 3D measurements as well. Right? Normally, when we come to 3D, we don't call that 3D measurements. We say quantity harvesting of the 3D model, because quantities are there. So you are going to harvest, or you are going to extract the quantities from the 3D model. Now you can see how the BIM will work and the project will work. There won't be any as-built drawings as such. It's all about the 3D drawing, and you are adding information as we proceed to the 3D model, so that the facility manager during operation and maintenance, he can use this 3D model to do the maintenance and refurbishment and all these things of the building using the 3D model. Right? You can even order the material for replacement through the 3D model, because 3D model, there are certain software that can work with the 3D model, and then it will allow you to order, let's say, spare parts. Okay, and then you can store certain data, electricity, water consumption, and bills in the system, so that when you want to do life cycle costing one day of a similar building, you have all this data. So all these are possible nowadays. Keeping records of the building. Now, if someone asks you, let's say, take about your own house, right? Do you have any idea about how during last 10 years how much you have paid for the electricity bill? No, you don't have, right? Unless you collect all the electricity bill and put into Excel sheet and get the figure. But now with this introduction, you will get that information in one click, right? So all the data related to operation and maintenance can be stored in this kind of facility management software, and that will be useful when you design a new building of this similar nature, because you can do life cycle costing calculations using this historical data for the maintenance and operations, right? So that is how it is important, right? So this is kind of a software platform. This is not necessarily the only way to do, because there are plenty of software now available in the industry, right? Even, I mean, CostX is just a one. You have Cost. You have so many software doing the same thing, right? Even Naviswork, for example. Okay, let me take one by one. Now, again, if you take, this is the life cycle of a costing, starting from the concept design or the programming. Programming is the planning part. And then concept design, you can even use Rhino. You don't have to use Revit for the initial conceptual design, or sometimes you can use SketchUp. You must have used Google SketchUp or ArchiCAD, right? There are software that can be used for the conceptual design, and then as you proceed for the detailed design, you can use Revit, and then you have used ArchiCAD, what we have seen earlier in one of the previous slides, and MagicCAD, right? And then you might need the MicroStation to locate the building in a virtual environment. So you have a lot of software involved in this detailed design. And then you can do an energy analysis using Ecotech, or maybe you can use structural analysis using Tekla, right? And then Katia. And then you have something called clash detection. So when you do the models between the disciplines, sometimes there could be some clash between, or maybe let's say discrepancy between or miscoordination between structural and MEP, for example, because that is common in 2D drawings also. Sometimes the structural beams will interfere with the HVAC ducts. So always there will be, a lot of issues, miscoordination during the post-contract stage. That's why you have a lot of variations coming in. You might need to demolish the beam, or sometimes you need to lower the ceiling, and there will be a lot of complications because you have not anticipated that kind of miscoordination uh, on 2D drawing. So all this can be eliminated when you have 3D drawings, and this 3D drawing can run through Navisworks, a software called Navisworks, or Solibri, 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 and they are supposed to do clash detection. So we call it clash detection. So if there's any mismatch between disciplines, Navisworks will identify. It will identify, okay, this beam is interfering with this HVAC duct. So you need to reroute the HVAC duct, or you need to redesign the beam. Maybe you need to reduce the depth. So all these clashes will be detected early, even before you start the construction. So that is the main job. That is one of the software, Navisworks. And there's a similar software called Solibri that can do the job. So that is called clash detection is possible. Okay. And then you have, for the operation, you have something called Ecodomus or RKFM. FM means the facility management. Okay. That is, you can call it as 6 dimension. And you can do the building maintenance using some of this software. And if you want to buy this software, you can see how many software licenses you have to buy from each. And who will decide this, okay, which software and how many licenses to buy and so on. You as a quantity survey will not be able to do that because it's not your job. Your job is to do your part of the job, right? Cost management. And there'll be a person called BIM manager, and he will be advising the client, or project manager will have in his team a BIM specialist, and he will initially tell us how many licenses will be required from each software and what are the software that are going to be used in this project. So once that decision is made and we know how many softwares, and because it is not only the consultant team that you need to buy, the contractors team and the subcontractors team also should come into this same platform. So they will have to also buy them. So it's a lot of money, right, to buy this software, because the entire team, consultant team, clients team, and the contractors and subcontractors team will have to work on the same page. That means all of them will have to buy them. So either client will have to buy them and give it to them. Otherwise, you have to specify in the tender document that the contractors or subcontractors will have to buy them on behalf. So whoever buys it, it is adding to the cost of the project, right? So you have to spend a lot of money on the software if you have to implement BIM. So that is a disadvantage. It's not moving. Okay. Now, anyway, we are going to learn this. So we will be learning about 2D takeoff first, in the first place. There are tight measurements, like when you do measurements in the cost in the 2D drawing, and there will be a linked measurement. The measurement will be linked. When you change the dimension, the quantity here will be also automatically changed. And also you have visual connection. You can identify what are the items you have measured here. So directly visible when you click on this, and it will show you which item you have measured. Right, so that is important. So you can't make any mistake when you measure from CostX. I mean, it's not automatic when you measure 2D. Remember, 2D measurements are not automatic. Okay, but you can say it will reduce a lot of manual efforts. Right, it will reduce. So that's, I mean, you as a quantity survey will have to use your technology and your focus when you do 2D measurements, because it's not mostly automatic, but you have to use certain tools in a effective way. Right, so you can even generate 3D views of the measured dimensions. I will show you all these things. And streamline measuring process by calculating areas, length, and counts with a single click, right? And also, it is supported by PDF, AutoCAD, and then any other files. Of course, IFC, and even JPEG. Even a picture you can measure, right? You can measure from a picture, right? You can set up the what do you call the scale, and you can measure. So that is the beauty of it. I'll show you all these things. Don't worry. That's part of our course, right? This part is additional actually. This cost BIM, right? When it comes to 3D models, of course, everything is automatic. CostX will, I mean, you don't have to do anything. You have to use certain tools in a certain way to abstract information from the, let's say, Revit model. Right? You will know how many windows, you will know how many doors, you will know concrete column quantities, slab quantities, and everything will be pretty straightforward. And in no time, you will get all the quantities, right? When it comes to 3D. So CostX is very strong when it comes to 3D model, remember. Though it offers 2D model also, 2D measurement. Right, then there's something called workbook. We are going to learn about this. And this is where we prepare the BOQ. It's very similar to Excel, but it's not exactly Excel. And you don't, the beauty is in CostX, you don't have to do any arithmetic like in Excel. Right, when you do manual taking off with Excel, right, if one of your equations are not correct, you are in trouble. Correct? You're in real trouble. So what you do is basically here all the equations are automatic. So it is automatically linked to your object in the drawing or 3D model. And therefore, you don't have to insert any of the equation there. And then addition, everything will be automatic. So it avoids all the arithmetic errors that can happen during the manual process. Right, so that is called workbook. That is where we prepare the BOQ and the estimate. Okay. So you can have the link between your object and the BOQ. So whatever the, let's say there are drawing revisions. Let's say you have prepared your BOQ on a particular set of drawings. And then later after 1 week or so, you get revision drawings, right? Now, do we have to do another takeoff on the revision drawing, or can we update these quantities based on the revision drawings? We can update the original quantities based on the revision drawing. That is what we call as revisioning. And that is what we call as auto revisioning function. You can identify what has been changed from the previous version to this version. Now you can see the green part is newly added, for example, right? Red part was already there. You can just compare two drawings and see what are the changes from revision 1 to revision 2 or revision 0 to revision 1. And you can automatically update the quantities also. So we'll be doing this revisioning as part of our course. Sorry. So that is called revisioning. And when I get back to workbook, yeah. I think I have explained everything here. But anyway, we are going to do all the demonstrations. Yeah, then subcontractor comparison. This feature is not there in the educational version, but you have to have the license version to do the subcontractor comparison. But I will give you some explanation on that as well at the very end of the course. And then you can generate reports. So you'll be going through all the reports as part of the course, right? How to generate estimate, how to manipulate your reports. And if you don't want to see, let's say, rates, and you need only the empty BOQ, you can generate. So likewise, there are certain reports, but there are limitations in the educational version, right? You cannot you can produce any kind of report in the educational version, but we will show you how to generate reports, how to generate various reports as part of the course. Right, so you have seen advantages of CostX, increased productivity, accuracy, traceability, and consistency, presentation, and you can keep it for future proof, right? So you have a lot of advantages, and it's part of the beam process. So knowing CostX will give you an added advantage as a quantity survey and face in the future, basically, right? You are getting ready for the future, right? So that's it as far as BIM part of the CostX is concerned. I just wanted to give you an overview of BIM because there's no point of just learning BIM without knowing the bigger picture. Right. I would like to answer a few questions if you have. Otherwise, we can move on to the software. Maybe we can spend little time today itself on the CostX and be familiarized with some of the functions, some of the basic things in CostX if you don't have any questions. But I will give you 2-3 minutes to ask any question. If you have, you can unmute your mic and ask the question. If everything is clear, some of you may have already gone through Shiraf, did I answer your question? Shiraf? Yeah, you can generate for post contract in the sense if you have the, let's say, if you are doing 2D drawing, if you have 2D drawings, of course, you can measure, let's say you have construction drawing or maybe shop drawings generated from the construction drawing. That is your final set of measurements. Of course, you can use CostX to measure unless you have to measure something on the site as joint measurements. You can do the whole post-contract measurement through the CostX, like you do normal pre-contract measurements. And if it is a BIM model or BIM project, of course, then you have to use the proper model, right? Proper 3D model to generate your quantities. So to answer your question, Gobiraj, Gobiraj, sorry. Gobiraj, yes, we can use it, provided that you get the proper set of drawings. I'm thinking that you are referring to 2D drawings here. Yeah, you can use. So you need to use the proper set of drawing, and then you can use CostX to measure 2D drawings and generate quantities, similar to what you are doing in the pre-contract during the preparation of the BOQ. The only thing is, if you want to do post-contract measurement, the consultant also should have CostX software to check it. That is the only thing. You can check the measurements, but then you have to give your CostX file for him to open in his CostX software and then check the measurements. You can check the measurement very easily, I mean, more than faster than the manual method. Right, can I move on then? Yeah, you can transfer to Excel, yes. Provided that it is a licensed version. Whatever the measurements or whatever the BOQ that you have prepared in CostX can be exported to Excel. There's a function. And then you can do the modification as you require. Possible. I will show you. MEP, yes. Even 2D measurement, MEP counting is the most easiest part here. I will explain as we proceed, maybe in the third or fourth session. MEP measurements. Counting is the simplest way of doing things here. And you can count, let's say you have light fittings that you need to count, or maybe furniture, or maybe any ELV items, or maybe light fitting switches, or CCTV cameras, or whatever. In numbers, even 2D measurements would be very fast. You can measure thousands of items, similar items, in 2 seconds. So that is a huge advantage when it comes to 3D, BIM, CostX here. And you can transfer those measurements to an Excel, yes, possible. But the problem is then you don't have, now consultant will be looking at how you have got these numbers, right? And you should have some marked up drawing that you don't get that marked up drawing as 2D because it is a CostX file. So you need to give the CostX file for him to check. You have the Excel sheet, but the calculation will happen in CostX files. So you have to give the CostX file to him for him to check the quantities. So that is the only advantage. That's why I said you have to have CostX for all the people if you are doing cost management part from CostX. I'm talking about the BIM environment, okay? Okay, so, okay, right. You can ask any questions later also. Yeah, how about the works related to highway project? Yes, you can, no issue, you can use it still. You can calculate areas very quickly, and then you can get the length, like curbs and all, right? In my opinion, highway projects are probably easier than the building projects. Why I say this is in terms of managing items, because in a building project, sometimes you have 5,000, 6,000 BOQ items, whereas in a highway road project, you will have maybe 300, 400 BOQ items, right? In that way, it is relatively easy to manage the number of items. So measurement also you can manage easily, maybe more than or maybe easier than a building project. Yes, you can measure your surface areas very quickly, and then you have to use, okay, if you have 3D models, there's no issue. But if you have developed a 3D model for a highway project, so similar to a highway building, you can abstract the quantities very quickly. If it is a 2D model or 2D drawing, let's say PDF or AutoCAD drawing, then you can use your QS knowledge. Where sometimes you need to define the thickness, you can get the area from CostX. And sometimes counting is not a problem at all. Any highway design, highway signs and all, highway and road signs, counting is simple. Right? In one click, you can count. I will show you whether it is highway project or any other building project. But to measure areas or linear meter length, then you have to do it manually from CostX. Right? I think you will understand when we start working on the software. right? Can we now go to the software and learn basic functions, few basic functions in CostX? So that's a starting point. So this part I wanted to teach you because this is very important. I think you can download, take a printout and keep it with you and understand the role of BIM in the bigger picture. Oh, sorry, role of CostX in the BIM environment. I hope it is useful. Right, I'll close this and I will now show you. Okay, everyone has installed CostX? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay, now let us start with CostX. Okay, now you can load CostX either from here and just find CostX. If it is installed here, right, you will see here CostX. You all know that's basic thing. And you will see here. Right. I forgot to share the screen. Thank you for reminding me. Right. Again, you go here, starting bar, and you just type CostX here. Yeah. Oops. And you will see here. And if you want to pin this one to here, we can say pin to. Okay, since I have already pinned to starting bar, it goes as unpin. Otherwise, what you can do is right click and you will see pin to start bar. Pin to start. When you click on that, you will see an icon here. Or you can take it to the desktop as a shortcut. Right? All these are possible, right? You can do this as a shortcut, or otherwise you can pin it here, and then you can either you click here, you can open, or otherwise you click here, then you can open, or you can create a shortcut. Right? Can everyone open your CostX? Yeah. Okay, let me do a small thing here. Since I have already a project here, I need to delete this one because I just wanted to show you the dialog box when it opened for the first time. So let me delete that project first of all. I will teach you, don't worry. I just wanted to show you when you open CostX, how it will look like. Okay, now I'll start again. Right, I'm going to load CostX now. It might take few seconds. Yes. And this is your first dialog box. This is your first dialog box. You can see here, new project, new building. And then you can see here also project code, project name, building type, building code, building name, date added. So bit of history here and also search bar here. So that is your starting point. So what is the first step you do in CostX? You have to introduce a new project. Now, let's say this is the first time you are using CostX and you are doing a project now. Okay, you are doing a project, right? So you need to open a folder like what you do in Excel, right? When you want to do a manual measurement, let's say you have got a project called, let's say, hospital building, or let's say UAE hospital. I'm just taking an example, UAE hospital, and that is your project name, right? Then you have to introduce new project called hospital project. So that is the first thing. But here, remember, everything what we do in CostX will be staying in CostX. Unlike we are creating a folder structure outside of the program. Now, what we do in Excel is basically you take the Excel file and drop into a folder that you have created in the Windows. But here, the folder structure will be created within the CostX itself. So that's a huge difference. So all the backup files will be CostX files, right? It is not created somewhere else. I will show you how it will happen. But for now, okay, now you need to open a new project. So let us open a new project. But the problem is with education license, it will not allow you to open a new project. Otherwise, people will use it for commercial purposes. So they have limited that thing. But let us click on this and see the message. Okay, new project. It says this operation cannot be performed in an educational. Okay, fine. Then what is the remedy we have? I will show you the remedy. Right. Leave that aside, and let's say we have in hospital project we have different buildings, correct? In the hospital project we have different building, right? Let's say we have the new project. It's already created, and then you create a new building, another folder for new building, and we click on that new building, and then it will ask you certain information. Okay, now name. Okay, we are going to, okay, what is, okay, Muscat Hotel. Okay, that's what we are going to measure. Right, so let us take this as a Muscat Hotel. Right, and project name is Muscat Hotel, but unfortunately we can't create the project name. But let's say the building is, let's say, accommodation building. Okay, accommodation building. Okay, that is your building name. So when you say building name, even you can say if it is a single building, let's say the project itself is a single building, then you can say this as a substructure if you want. Though it is called the building, you can call it as a substructure, and then you can create another building called within that project. You can call it as superstructure. Then you can say architectural work. So discipline also can be created as building, but in this case I will create this as accommodation building. I'll say substructure. I'll show you why. And the building code, if you want, you can say 001. Okay, I'm just giving you some. So can you follow me? Can you follow me? So I'll come out from this again, right? And double click on this. If you don't have anything on the screen, this is blank, you just double click and you will get that dialog box again. You double click. Yeah, you got it. And since we cannot create a new project, let's say it is already created by someone, by CostX. It is already created, so it does not allow us to create any project. So you go to the new building called, can you create a new building now? Call accommodation building, substructure. Accommodation building, substructure. Okay, building code, let's say 001. Project. Now it does not allow me to, or did not allow me to create a project. But just double click on this, or just click on this arrow, and it will show you as default project. Now, in the educational, we have to work in this default project because they have already created this one for us. Otherwise, people will use this education license for commercial purposes. So the trick they have done is they have created already project for us called default project. So we have to work within that. It's okay. So we don't create a new project. In a commercial version, you can create a project called, let's say, hospital project or whatever, or hotel, Muscat Hotel. And then you will see when you click here, Muscat Hotel name will be here. And then you create the new building in that Muscat Hotel project. But here, it is not allowed. So we always create the building, new building in default project. Okay. So you see this building type if you want, whatever. When you say building type, let's say concrete. You don't have to put, if you don't have any information, you just leave it blank. Okay, that's not a problem. So you don't use this based on the part. I will explain later, maybe at the very last uh, lecture. What it basically says is, if you have already created a building, you can create a new building based on that earlier created building. That's what it says. Let's say you want to create a building, a folder similar to another building that we have already done. So you can create a building based on that already created building. That's why you can use this. And the base units, keep it as meters. I will show you why. So we call it as base units. So project, for the entire project, we will be using meters as default project, unit of measurement. Right? When you introduce drawings, it will be millimeters. So we are using millimeters and meters as our basis units. If you have anything on, let's say, feet and inches, you can use feet. And in the drawing, you can use inches. Where very rarely we use nowadays, right? Feet and inches. But I will have a small example on that also. But for now, your project unit of measurement would be meters. When we introduce drawings, we'll measure this, we will introduce this as a millimeter. I will show you why. Right, so leave it like by default you have meters, or leave it like that. Okay, and if you have to put any note, you can put any notes and say insert. Can we do that? Insert. Now you see you end up with this, and right. Now, before I move forward, I will close this now. And you can see here, I have created a building called accommodation building. Okay. My project is default. My building is accommodation building. Now I have gone into that folder. I'm in that folder now, right? Accommodation building. Whatever I do, all the information will be staying within this folder called accommodation building. Now let's say you want to close this. You close this, and you want to open CostX again. Can you do that with me? And any questions? Yeah, all good. And again, we'll open CostX because we have created a building under default project. So we open CostX again. Right, now you can see we have created a building called accommodation building. Project name is now default project. You can see earlier it was blank. Now I have created a building within the default project. A building type is called concrete. Building code is 110, and date added is today's date. And if I add another one, it will be staying here. So when you open CostX, now you can select one of them. If it is a new project, let's say you have, let's say, hospital project or something, then you can click on that, and on the correct building, right? You can click on that and go to that particular folder in CostX. Here, default project accommodation building. That is what I'm going to open. When you open, you will see here on the top, the name of the building. Let's create another one called default project accommodation. Maybe not accommodation. Let's go to like the guardhouse. Okay. Create a new building called guardhouse. I'm just showing you guardhouse. Building code, let's say 002. Project is the same thing because default there's no option, right? And the units are same. Okay. Okay, based on we don't touch, and building type if you want, you can just add anything, right? XXX or whatever. Any nodes you have to put in and insert. Now you can see, okay, now we have gone to that directly. But now just close because we have introduced two buildings in the same project. Now you can see two, right? We have created default project. So we have created guardhouse and also accommodation building. Now you can navigate between these two. You can select any of them. You can use guardhouse and select, or you can use accommodation building and select, right? And if you want to introduce new building, you can still do. I think in educational version, you can only add 3 building if I remember correct. You cannot do more than 2 or 3 buildings because 3 buildings, I think, because otherwise people will be using this one for commercial use. Because you can use the default project and then you can add few buildings here and then you can do your job. That is also limited. Now here you can search if you want. Let's say you have 15 projects here already because you have been working since let's say 3-4 years on CostX. Then you can search your project here. Okay, you can search your project, right? You can see here when you search, you get it. And these are the, now you can see these are the recent projects that we have worked on. These are the recent projects on the top, and these are the top. These are the full list that you have worked on. You understand? Let's say you have 15-20 projects already, and under each project you have different buildings, and you want to find one building. Let's say you have done in 2 years time, 2 years ago. Then you can just do a search. It will appear here. Right? Okay, these are the recent one. Then you can search whatever the project that you want to access. Anyway, now I'll open the accommodation building. I hope you have followed me and you have created these two buildings under default project. Now you are going to open the accommodation building with me. Right. Now we have to learn some default views. Okay. You can see here on your on the top of the screen you have file. When you have file, you have new, open, delete, merge, and all these things. So this tab is normally for the administrator. If you want to delete a file, right, the QS should not be able to delete the files because otherwise he can delete the file by accidentally, right? So and this is basically very critical area. You can change the settings of the default system. I will show you some of them. You can export the files, you can import the files. I will show you all these things as we proceed. But for now, whatever in the files are very critical and mostly related to administrator type of functions. Okay. So I will not start with this anyway. So I'll show you some of the tabs here. Now you have a home tab. You can see this is your home tab. And then you have something called drawing tab. So whatever the drawings that you can upload or you will upload will be appearing here. Okay, I will show you that. And then you have something called dimensions in CostX. So you have to, those are the kind of a measurable items. Let's say it's almost like BOQ descriptions. Right, to introduce, let's say, PCC concrete, that is one of your dimensions. And then you measure that PCC concrete from the drawings that you have uploaded here, right? And then you have revisioning. Can you remember we discussed about revisioning? So we'll learn revisioning later. Workbook is the BOQ that you are preparing. And apart from that, you have another tab called subcontractor comparison, which will not appear here because of the educational version. You don't see that tab here altogether, right? The subcontractor comparison, because this is an educational version. So we'll start with this. Right now, okay, let us understand some of the functions here. I think before that, okay, I have a small introduction here. Let me find that file for you. Yeah, here. All right, so we discussed about desktop shortcuts and so on, and then we discussed about this scenario also, right? How to create a new building and new project we can't create, but under default project we can create new buildings. We have learned that, and then yeah, okay. Just an introduction about some of the menus here. You can see this is what we call as ribbon toolbar here, where we have file. Now instead of this, now you have file, home, drawing, dimensions, revision and workbook, and subcontractor in license version. So this is called ribbon toolbar. And then you have under that, for each one, each tab, you have another toolbar. If it is drawing, you have another set of toolbars here down, right? That is also ribbon toolbar. right? And then you have the help button. Yeah, so that is it. Now, for example, if I go back, this is what we call as, if you go to drawing, we have a different set of icons here. When you go to dimensions, it has different set of icons here in the second toolbar. If you go to revision, you have separate one and workbook, right? That's how it has been designed. Now, let us add a drawing now. Okay, now let's say you have created a folder, sorry, building, first of all, called accommodation building. I just wanted to show you a few things now, some of the functions, how you add a drawing to this folder that you have created under accommodation building. Okay, so you are going to add a drawing to your accommodation building. So that is the starting point because you need drawing to measure, correct? You need drawing to measure. So under accommodation, you have to then add drawings to measure. Right. So since you have created the building, now you are going to add the drawing under this folder. For that, you have to come to this drawing. So whatever you are doing with the drawing, you are doing with this tab, drawing tab. Right. So what you do is basically you come to drawing tab and you have a small icon. This is the only item activated here. Now all these are deactivated. You can see, right? So when you add the drawing, you can see all these are activated. Right. Now we are going to add a drawing. That is the first step of this, and just to be familiarized with some of the functions here. Right. So what you do is you add this, and you have a tiny arrow here. You click on that tiny arrow and say add drawings. Again, now you are here. You are going to add the drawing under accommodation building. So how do you do that? You have a tiny arrow here. You click on that, and you will see these two, and click on add drawing. Now you can do a small note saying that how to add a drawing. Drawing tab, add drawing. You have to make your own note. And then select the drawing from the folder that I have given. This is a folder, let's say it is in your desktop or somewhere you have saved it. And here you have, okay, under drawings and BOQ, you have something called house, right? House raster image and open. And like any other package or any other software, right? You need to give a name. Okay, no name has been taken automatically with the file name. It's okay for the moment. And folder, I should say, if you have to create another folder called, let's say, house, within that, or you can say test. Okay, this one is test, right? You don't have to do anything here. Base unit, you can see now in this case, given as inch. So leave it like inch for the moment. I'm not going to do anything at the moment, so leave it like default for the moment. Not going to change this one because I just want to show you few functions here. I'm not going to measure anything from here. Okay, measuring will be done later, but I want to show you how to zoom out, so zoom in, how to move forward, backward, and so on. So basic functions I need to explain. That's why. That's why I have uploaded this drawing. Don't worry about the units. I'm not going to calibrate this one for the measurements. So that's why I put this as a test. Okay. So I'm going to include this one because it is kind of an incline thing. And I wanted to teach you something there also. Normally you don't find drawings in this way, right? You normally find some horizontal and vertical. That's all. But this is inclined. So that is the very reason I'm going to add this. Right. So let us add this. So you're not going to do anything else. Everything will be default. I'll put insert here. Now you can see that drawing has been added. That drawing has been added under the accommodation building. Right. Now you have this. Now you can see all the icons are activated. Earlier it was deactivated. Under drawings, it was almost like blank, gray. Now everything is there. Now I can show you few things. Right. I think first thing would be, okay. So let us do, right. I'll do another drawing. Okay. I'll add another drawing. Let us add a PDF drawing. Because this is a JPEG. I told you at the very beginning, you can even measure from JPEG. And I'm going to add a PDF drawing. And also I'm going to add an AutoCAD drawing just to show you how to add, that's all. Right. And then, okay. Can you add this one first, everyone? And make sure you get it. Because that's the starting point. And please drop a message here if everyone has done it. Say you have done it. Davin, did you follow? Good. So when you drop a message, then I know everyone has followed me. I think Davin has a small issue. Can follow up with users second example. How to create a new project. Okay, now okay, for good. I don't want anyone left behind. I want everyone to be understood and follow me. Very good. Now you have added this. I hope everyone, if you have any issue, please drop a message that you can't follow. I will do it again. Good. So I'll come back and double check whether everyone has done it. Right now, again, okay, now I'm going to add, because I want to show you, you can add few types of drawing. One is JPG, same thing, drawing, add drawing, and I have given can take any drawings, any PDF. Let's take Muscat Hotel folder. Muscat Hotel folder. I will open architectural drawing and PDF. You can select any of the PDF drawing. Let's say ground floor plan. I hope you follow my file path. Again, I go back. Right, and this is the folder you have been given. So I open this one, and there you have Muscat Hotel subfolder. Open this, go to architecture and PDF drawing. You can select the ground floor plan and open. Again, same question they will ask. Okay, this is the drawing name as it is. You can say ground floor plan. It's okay because it gives some sense, right? It is not only the drawing number, it gives the ground floor plan. Why it is important? Because when you have so many drawings here, and you cannot only follow the drawing number. You should have some description here. If you don't have this description, it doesn't appear here. It doesn't appear here. So it's always better you give a name for that drawing also. Otherwise, you don't know what it is, right? And the folder again test. So what happens is otherwise you have a folder called test here already created. So this drawing also will be stored under that folder. If you change the folder here and you are creating another folder here, let's say test one if you want, just for the check, right? I'll say test one. Everything else is same for the moment and insert. Now you can see earlier drawing here was stored in test folder. Now this drawing is under test one folder. It's like you can do structural, architectural, MEP. So likewise, you can store your folders within this. Sorry, you can store your drawings under each folder. So we'll do it later. Now I'm just trying to show you some of the features, that's all, and how to add a drawing and how to create your folder structure. Now I have done test one, okay, and that's a PDF one. You can see. I'll show you how to zoom in, zoom out, and all this later. I'll do another one, a CAD drawing. I don't have even AutoCAD in my computer, okay? But now you can see I can open AutoCAD drawing in CostX, like AutoCAD. I don't have in my laptop AutoCAD. Okay. I can show you. No AutoCAD here. But I can open AutoCAD in CostX. Now, again, I'm going to add another drawing, AutoCAD drawing now. Drawings, tiny arrow, add drawing. And now I'm going to the CAD folder here and open, let's say 201 here. And it will ask you whether you need to load the model or the layout. Normally, we go with the model because layout is confusing. You will have so many layouts there. So you go with the model. Yeah, this is what it is. And here, drawing number is not enough. So you can say ground floor. You can say ground floor. And I'm going to store under the same folder called test one. Okay, because it's a AutoCAD drawing of the same thing. 201 ground floor, here also ground floor. Right? So I don't change any of these now. Insert. Right, now you can see I have uploaded 3 types of drawing. One is a picture or JPEG. You just click on that, you will get that. And then the PDF and then the AutoCAD. Now you can see I can open any drawing here. JPG, various types of file under 2D. Right, this is PDF and this is DWG, which is AutoCAD. Right, now let us play with this now a little bit. Okay, let us play with this because we need to understand few things here. So start with architectural drawing, for example. If you want to zoom in, zoom out, how do you do that? There are different ways. One is with the mouse. One is with the mouse. And one is with the icon here. You can see zoom in like any other program. Right? You can click on that, zoom in. And if you want to go back to where you were, you can do zoom out also, yes, because then you have to do one by one. Correct? Zoom out, zoom in. But if you want to go to the starting point, we have something called reset view here. Right? Then if you want to go back to where you were, you go to reset view direct. You don't have to go through zoom out. So I'm just teaching you zooming, huh? Zooming using the icons here under the drawings tab, because these are very basic functions of CostX. Right, zoom in, zoom out. If you want to do zoom area, it's almost like AutoCAD or any other software or measurement software, right? Zoom area, like you just give a zoom area and you do that. And if you want to go back, reset. Can you practice that? Can you practice that? Zoom in, zoom out, zoom area. And reset. Zoom area and reset. Right, so that is using the icons here. If you are using the mouse, you just take your mouse wheel, like anything else, you just zoom in and zoom out using your mouse wheel. Only the mouse wheel, okay? Zoom in, zoom out. I mean, pretty normal, right? That's what you do with PDF also, right? Zoom in, zoom out. Using the mouse wheel. You are very familiar with that function. You don't have to go with this. You can use your mouse to zoom in and zoom out. And how do you move this drawing? Let's say you want to get it here. You lock the mouse wheel. Okay, can you do that first? I will give you 1 minute. Right, to do the zoom in, zoom out with the mouse. Use the mouse wheel. Okay, that's all. Just the mouse wheel. And then even with this, you can do the reset. Okay. So one is using the icons and then using the mouse. And then you have how to use shortcuts. Here. We were talking about zooming, okay? Zooming, we use the mouse, what do you call, ribbon toolbar. We have done this part, right? Keyboard, sorry, mouse, we use this, right? We use the wheel or mouse wheel. And then how to use the keyboard. What you can do is use the plus key to zoom in or minus key to zoom out around the center of the drawing window. Okay, let's try that out. Okay, we don't normally use it, but let us use it, right? We're talking about zooming. Use the plus key to zoom in and minus key to zoom out. Right. Let's use this plus. Correct. Shift and plus. Okay, plus. That's how you use plus anyway. Minus. You do this. And if you want to reset, you reset. And then you go to plus. That is also possible. Minus. Okay, can you practice that? So there are three ways to zoom in, zoom out. One is, of course, using this and then using the mouse wheel and then using the shortcuts or keyboard. You use the shift and plus, basically plus. Plus you cannot use without shift and minus, opposite. So can you practice this one? Zooming in three ways and you can make a note. If you can't make a note now, I think the best way, you go through the video again, right? You replay the video, probably with little fast forward. You can save time. You can put 1.5 times probably in the video and then do a short note, how to zoom in. Do a small, what do you call, line diagram or flow chart, right? Zoom out with the keyboard like this. You have to do your own note, then only you will remember. Otherwise, I can give this to you, but no point. Use your own notebook. Using the keyboard, how to zoom in, zoom out. Using the mouse, how to do that. And ribbon by is easy. Anyone knows. Even a small child will do nowadays, right? Right? They will click on this and see what is going to happen. You always use the keyboard also because that is fast sometimes rather than using this icon. Right? That is zooming and panning. You all know what is panning. Okay, panning is of course how to move forward, how to move here and there. Okay, one is of course now you have to lock the mouse or mouse wheel, right? Lock the mouse wheel, press the mouse wheel, and then just move, right? And then zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Because this you have to familiarize this with because otherwise you can't quickly take the measurements from the drawing. Right? Just lock the mouse wheel and then move. Right? Can you practice that also? It's not those are not magic. I think most of you will know already by operating some other software. So similar functions you have here as well. So that is using the mouse. Right? Just lock the mouse wheel and then move forward anyway, diagonally or horizontally, vertically. Right, move on. Sorry, zoom in, zoom out. Right. And this, and if you are using the ribbon toolbar, that you have this here. That is normally slow. We all know that, right? You have this slider in any software, like even MS Project you have or Excel you have. So same thing, you have this vertical slider and horizontal slider. That is also way. But diagonally you don't have, right? You can move vertically and horizontally, that's all. Like any other software. But here with the mouse, you can even move this way diagonally. That is not possible with these sliders. Okay, and if you want to go back, reset. Right, so that is using the toolbar. And how to use a keyboard now, if you want to move. Keyboard, and this is keyboard, you can use arrow keys here. Right, you just use the arrow keys here. And you can use the keyboard to navigate through this. Now you use a keyboard here, arrow keys. Just arrow key. But remember, now you have selected this drawing before you do anything, okay? That is why you have, it is appearing here. So you have to select an appropriate drawing here, then it will appear here. So you can do all these functions for even AutoCAD or JPG. Now you have to practice. So I have used PDF drawing. Now next I will use AutoCAD drawing. Right. So how to navigate? Panning, arrow keys you can use up and down and then horizontally again. So mouse is a better thing, right? You use anyway because you can zoom diagonally also. Sorry, you can pan diagonally also. There's no hand here like in PDF, right? You right click and you don't have any panning here like a small hand you used to see in AutoCAD, sorry, in PDF. You don't have that. Right? Panning can happen from the mouse. Lock the mouse wheel and then move around. So I hope you are happy with that two functions, zooming and panning. You have to just get used to them. Right? You can, if you want, you can use AutoCAD drawing here and also do the same function. Zooming in, zooming out, zooming areas, reset, right? And then you use the mouse, right? And then plus sign and minus sign. Same thing, right? Whether it is AutoCAD or PDF or JPEG, it's the same. It's the same. Use the mouse and plus, minus. That is zooming. And panning, of course, similar to the previous one. It's zooming, panning. And use the arrow key.
Yes,
And yeah.
so when you choose in the AutoCAD file, I have there are two layouts and models. Which one choose? Layouts
Okay.
to.
You have to use the model.
Okay.
Otherwise, all the layouts will come. So when you add the drawing here, drawing, add drawing. When you select this one, for example, it will ask you whether layout or model, right?
Yeah, now okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. No, let us see that one also because you need to experience this. Let us use the layout. I'll show you the difference. Otherwise, you are just listening to me, right? You have to do some trial and errors. So let's, by mistake, let's say you have selected layout. So nothing is going to happen. It says you have selected one or more perspective. Okay, say okay. Now you can see. I say okay. Now this is the model. You see earlier here, you have other things also. Right. You know the difference between layout and the model in AutoCAD, right? When you use the model here, you will see only that. But when you have layout, there could be so many other drawings also drawn on the same layout, correct? So it's okay. You can use any of them. But to make it clear, sometimes you can use only this. Sorry, we use this normally. So either one is fine, but you have to select the appropriate drawing for you to measure when you measure. But you can even use the layout, that's okay. Then you get this. You can just add that one also. So same thing. Then it will look like a drawing here. And this will, of course, the space, you know the difference between layout and the model in AutoCAD. So same thing. It's a good question. Right. So you have done panning and zooming even with all these three. So you have to practice. You didn't ask me one thing. If you have a PDF with multiple pages, that is what you get normally nowadays, right? You get sometimes a combined PDF, in other words. See what happens. When you apply or when you add a drawing with multiple pages, you will have some problems, right? Because you have to give one by one. How can you add a drawing with multiple PDF like this? I don't know whether I have given you this drawing, but I will just show you. Under drawing folder, maybe I have given you later, that's why. Yeah, you have something called, let me see, it's there. Yeah, you have this drawing under drawings and BOQ subfolder. You have PDF sheets, multiple PDF sheets. I don't know whether I can add to the chat box if you don't have it. Let me check. I think I can add to the chat box. No. Is there any way I can add a file here? No.
Sir, could you please say the file name, sir?
Yeah, this is the file link. Okay. Go to drawings and BOQ. Under that, you have a PDF just, I mean, outside of these folders for PDF sheets, Isipatana architecture. Do you have it? I don't think so. Anyway,
Still
I will
fine,
show you.
sir. Still fine, sir.
I'm still finding. You just go to drawings and BOQ folder, and then outside you have something called PDF sheets. I don't think you have it here. Last time also I have given to the students later. But the problem is I can't I'll discuss Nikhil, I will discuss about the calibration next week, okay? I'm not going to confuse you guys with scales and all. So I'll explain calibration in the next week because we are going to start measuring next week. Don't worry. You don't have it. Yeah, you don't have it. Don't worry, I will share that one with. Okay, can I put into the. Okay, you are in the chat box, right? I'm going to add here. Go to your WhatsApp. I will share there. Go to your WhatsApp. I will share here. I will share what I have shown you now also. This one, this one. Okay, that is one thing. This is the note I have shown you, so you can keep that one. But it's an older version of CostX. Okay. But I would prefer you to have your own notes. And then the drawing I'm talking about is here. Can you upload these drawings also? Right. You download this PDF called Isipatan Architectural. And I wanted to show you, I wanted you to experience when you have multiple PDF, how to upload. And also, I will show you here, you have multiple layouts in AutoCAD. And when you upload that kind of drawing, what is going to happen? Right? Now I'm going to show you now. Okay. Now we have done panning and zooming. So let us stop there. We can further discuss other functions next week. But before I conclude today's session, I'm going to show you what happens when we have multiple PDF drawings and when you want to upload, what happens, right? So go to drawings and drawings here, and I select that multiple drawing thing. Yeah, PDF sheets. Open. And now it will ask you, okay, which one you want to update? Earlier you didn't get this kind of a message, right? Because you had only single PDF drawing. When you upload this 201 ground floor plan, you had only single one. You didn't get this. Now CostX identifies that this particular file I was trying to upload has multiple sheets. CostX identifies and it is asking you which one you want me to upload. You don't upload everything because then we don't have a proper numbering or name here. So it does not allow all 8 PDF to be uploaded in one go. I will tell you the reason also. Because every measurement is linked to something. That's why. So you have to have individual drawings to be added here. Right. For the moment, I'll select 1. Okay. Or I'll select 8. I don't know what is inside. I'll select 8. Say okay. This is what. Okay. Then you can give the name. Let's say standard drawings. Standard details. and say insert, and I'll to use the same test1 folder. You can see what's happening. Yeah. So I've selected 8 of 8, 8 of 8, and I have renamed this as standard details. So I can use, or I can select whatever the file that I want from that 8 pages. Okay, now you have learned that one also. So same thing, zooming and all these things will be the same. Okay, now I have another one. I'm going to add another one with multiple, okay, this one here. Multiple layouts I have. Okay, I'm going to open this. Again, it's asking me whether you need the model or sheets. So let's use the model. Model means you have everything in one. Okay, multiple layouts. I'll say, okay, I'll give some name. Okay, just test. Now you can see when I use multiples, I get all the layouts. I'll get all the layouts. But if I say again, I will add the same thing and dimensions, and I will use now again. I will say I want to add number 1, and that is the layout. I'm going to use the layout here and say okay. Yes, and I will get only, let's say, whatever the drawing number, test2. And now you can see I get only that page with the Docker and everything. Okay, so that is the difference. If you use the layout, you will get everything together like this. Sorry. You get everything like AutoCAD layouts. So same thing. And if you get the model, you can get only this. So that is the difference. You need to be careful when you have so many files in the same drawing, because you have to select the appropriate one for the measurements. That's all. Otherwise, whether you upload this one or this, it doesn't matter. Only thing is you have a proper name here then. Because there here you have all the elevation, the plans and everything together here. Right? Then you will get confused a little bit when you have so much of drawings. But here it's not the case. You can name what it is, maybe ground floor, first floor, or section, or standard details. You can name it. Right, so I'll stop here. Now I have told you how to upload a drawing, whether it is JPG or PDF or AutoCAD. And if you have multiple AutoCADs, that is also I have showed you. Okay, you can select whatever the sheet that you want to upload. And then when you have multiple layouts, right, that I have shown you how to upload. You can upload the entire thing here, or you can use particular view, right? And then I have shown you how to do zooming and panning. So that's enough for the moment. And then we'll start rotating those basic functions later. And then we'll start measuring a substructure next week. Okay, guys, time is up. And if you have any questions, let's see. Right, so everyone has got the file through the WhatsApp group now. So you can use, you can store that files in this folder. And what I want is basically, I want you to practice this again during the middle of the week before you come to the next session, okay? Okay, before I conclude, are you happy with the way I'm explaining to you? Or do we have to do any changes next week? I would like to have some comments. What I do is basically I demonstrate and then I will give you some time to do it on your own. I think that way everyone can catch up. I'm not going to left anyone behind. Good. So everyone is okay with the approach. So we'll continue with this, and of course we'll do trial and error also, because at the end of the day, it is basically how you want to learn, right? Yeah. So please listen to the record and watch the record again. And if you have missed anything, you need to practice and do a small short note for each and every function. And that will be your basically your let's say reference book, right? When you forget few things later, you can use your notebook as a reference book. So it is your own notes and you will remember those notes very well. Okay, guys, good. So everyone is happy and we'll
Excuse
meet
me.
next week. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Mm.
I don't know how to CostX is running in the laptop. So I opened the AutoCAD app AutoCAD software before me running the CostX app. So we are no need to requirement with open with the AutoCAD file. No?
AutoCAD.
AutoCAD.
No, no, no,
No,
no,
no
no.
need. No.
No, no. Everything will be open in CostX only.
Okay.
So that's why I say you don't have to open anything before in the CostX. I mean, for example, now everything I have done is in CostX. You can remember I opened CostX and then I uploaded all this drawing into the CostX, not anywhere else. Correct?
Yes.
Even I don't have any AutoCAD in my computer. But now I can open AutoCAD in CostX and I can work like I have AutoCAD now. You understand now? I
Okay.
will show you how to measure. I don't have AutoCAD in my computer. You can see here. If I click here, AutoCAD, no. I don't have AutoCAD. Okay, I have AutoCAD Viewer. And I have to download. I don't have it actually in my computer, but you can see I have uploaded into CostX. So that's what I said at the beginning. I can upload any drawing into CostX and work. Because CostX has the ability, this is what we call as interoperability. We learned that word during the lecture, interoperability. CostX has the ability to work with any other software, including CostX, JPEG, PDF, and any IFC file, 3D model, Revit. Right, so you don't have to open any of this before you load those things into CostX. So you just select the file, that's all. Right? Drawing, add drawing here, and then select whatever the files you want to add. AutoCAD or anything, you just add and you can open here. Is that clear?
Yes, clear. Thank you.
Right, good, good. Right, so guys, thank you very much for joining in today. And I hope everyone will join physically. Then only you can ask questions and clarify your doubts. So it's good interaction. So we'll keep it the same way for the next sessions also. So we'll be going into the details next week and we'll start measuring the substructure next week. And so please do join and we'll start at 4:35 exactly, sharp 8:35. And we'll go on up to 11:30. Today we have got a little 15 minutes more. And I'm happy the way that you are interacting also. I think we'll go this way and that will help everyone. Okay, so good night and stay safe and take care. Okay, good night, all of you. I'll see you next week, same time. Bye for now.
Okay, sir. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Very good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night. Welcome.
Thank you.